2001, September 11th at 9:03 a.m. and 2 seconds. We're analyzing the view from Trump Tower, the claim. From home is the quote. Looking out of a window, another quote, in a building in Midtown Manhattan, and another claim, Fifth Avenue between 56th and 57th Street. Claim, to see from over 4 miles away, Flight 175 hit the south face of the South World Trade Center tower from the north side of the building. To see people jump from the building, to see the towers fall, then claim to see from 3.8 miles, or whatever the distance is, thousands of Arab Americans cheering the attack on the other side of the Hudson River at Jersey City, New Jersey, all from a location that, when we look it up, is 721 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10022. What about Rockefeller Center's view? A few blocks south of Trump Tower that we can also see from Trump Tower. We're going to be using this as a pseudo-stereoscopic view. Seeing also the following. A claim that he went to ground zero and helped first responders after the collapse, but the first recorded visit to ground zero is 2 days later after the attack, September 13th, and it was to the New York Stock Exchange area a few blocks east of ground zero as well. As of September 11th, 2020, Trump had over 20,000 false or misleading claims made about himself and other people that were on record, and mostly they were concentrating on just his recent run to become president and the time when he was president. This mostly includes himself being inserted as part of any important story and adding himself to history that he did not participate in. See also 3 Trump casino executives and 2 helicopter crew members who died in 1998 crash in Garden State Parkway, New Jersey, in the Woodlands, while en route to Atlantic City. A flight Trump was never going to board, but he claimed that it was a flight he was scheduled to be on. That wasn't really true. Or was it? Now we're going to analyze this. Again, I'm going to put up, I don't like Trump. I think he lies for petty bullshit. He lies in such a way that it gives him a liability, and that Trump supporters have to keep re-rationalizing whatever he says, even if they contradict each other, because they don't want him to be a liar or be less of a person. So let's look at this really quickly. Yes, this is a Wikipedia article, but we're going to be using it. Now, they're showing the exit points of the material from World Trade Center 2, South Tower, and I could be getting this totally wrong, coming out right here at the corner. And on other diagrams, you can see the airplane coming in and hitting like 25% of the way this way into the building, and it's approximately at this band or stripe. If you know anything about the World Trade Center buildings at the time, that was one of the things is they had these very distinctive stripes on the building. Now, this is the other one that came in from the north side, hit the center of the building, or tried to, and went into the building and came out in whatever position it is. This is analyzing World Trade Center 2 impact. And the impact of this will be shown in another image in a second. That, if you're not aware of it, is the infamous picture of that hitting it. Now, I could actually be getting this completely wrong, but this is the second impact. That's supposed to be the South Tower, and we're looking at it from, quote, the south side, okay, and it's early in the morning. Rises in the east, sets in the west. The angle is, the light is on this side of the building, and it's September, it's wintertime, so we're getting light at this angle. Now, I'm going to show it to you on a map with north being the top and south being the bottom, okay? So we're going to zoom in on where the buildings were. Now, we're using the quote-unquote footprint and or pools as a reference point. I'm putting this in this location as an impact point as if this is the real ground level for the World Trade Center 2 South Building, because I want to show you the angle of it. The sunlight comes in, it's wintertime, it's going to come in at a kind of an angle early in the morning. But in wintertime, because of the angle of the earth and the way it is, it's going to be coming in at kind of a weird angle like this, but it won't light up the front, well, the south side of the building, because it's not really the south, it's the southwest side of the building. It didn't hit any south because there's no south side. Now, I'm going to point out a couple of things that will be important later. This is a more current version of the area, because they've obviously added a building here. the top, the actual top of the World Trade Center replacement building here. From this corner to this corner, is approximately the same size as the width of this. And because of the line of sight from Trump Tower, we're going to use that as a reference point. From that angle, and this is as straight and clean as I can make it, you can just barely see daylight between the two buildings from that angle. And a little bit less than half of the World Trade Center 1 North Tower would be covered by what is this building now. We're going to use a current image because I don't have an image from Trump Tower looking this way. In fact, on Google Street View, suspiciously, you won't find a view from Trump Tower showing the angle that Trump may or may not have claimed to be seeing it from. All right? Okay. That's approximately where it hit because most of the material went in to the building from a south angle, came out right at this edge here and sprayed in this direction. Okay? So we're using that as a line of sight. Now I'm going to point out a couple of things. Jersey City, New Jersey will be shown in a second. Officially or unofficially, Jersey City, New Jersey, I got to zoom out again, runs from this here way down here. There's Liberty State Park, which is visually in a straight enough line you should be able to see part of it. There's the Statue of Liberty. But Jersey City, New Jersey is officially that. So where was there a crowd of gathering onlookers of somehow Muslim descent you're able to see at 4.12 miles, or if it was somehow here at Liberty State Park, 5.62 miles. I'm not sure how you do that, but we're going to look at it because someone went to Trump Tower and went ahead and just took a photo from directly underneath where he was staying in 2001. All right, let's go ahead and look. This is the view approximate data. Now, that's the Statue of Liberty in the distance. Trump's location, by the way, if they're not aware of it, this is the room directly underneath what was his apartment in 2001 in the same building. I've badly sketched in, I know that, but I'm trying to make it as visible as possible, the World Trade Center buildings. This one is in front of this one. There's the gap. This is the far side tower. He claimed to have seen the impact on this side and a plane come through it. Now, at the time, because this was the second impact, a lot of people in New York were told it was a plane that was hitting it. There was a plane that hit the North Tower, and the plane would have come right over Trump's right shoulder to hit that building over there almost. Anybody in a tall building would have been freaked out, and Trump, if he was even slightly intelligent, would have realized, I'm in one of the tallest buildings in the world. I'm in one of the tallest buildings in New York. I'm the third tallest building in New York City, besides the Twin Towers. I'm a sitting duck. Think about that from Trump's perspective, okay? I want you to understand that this was an extremely traumatizing, shitty day for everybody. And I don't think Donald Trump should be skipped on having some post-traumatic stress syndrome reference point here. I mean, seriously, okay? Let's give him a little bit of leeway here, but let's go on. This is the building he's claimed to have seen at exactly 9:03 and 2 seconds when the impact happened, and the material came out of approximately here. Was that visible at the time? Again, this is directly below where he might have been standing. He didn't say he was in a kitchen or anything. He was just looking out a window. He also made claims otherwise about why he had that room. But the thing is, from his angle, I think he would have been able to see it fall. I think he would have seen the impact and the result coming out the other side. But I'm sorry, he wouldn't have been able to see an airplane hit unless he knew to look at exactly that moment just before the impact. He might have been looking that direction, because he was watching this thing as it was burning from being hit. And I'm sure that they heard, and CNN had broadcast by that point, we think it's planes, or somebody might have played back a video of it being hit or something like that. You're going to have to look up what happened that day by 9:03 a.m. It wasn't that much time later. So everybody was guessing. Now, that is almost 5 miles away right there, which is the only place I can think of where he might have seen something. Now, obviously, there could have been, these buildings may not have been there at the time. Let's assume that. So at that scale and resolution, would he have been able to identify whether or not it was Islamic fundamentalists at that distance? Now, I don't want to bother you here, but a lot of people in a tall building like this might have had a telescope. He'd never mentioned having a telescope, and he never mentioned using it to look at this. But that should be a possibility. So he's looking mostly south-ish. Now we're going to do a little bit of a zoom in here. We're going to use a little perspective here. First of all, that building in the background, I do believe that's the new replacement tower for the Twin Towers. And this is approximately the positions they were. And I'm using its size, seeing as how that antenna is about in the center, to make those sizes about right. Okay? Obviously, you can criticize that. That's the Statue of Liberty. I swear to God, that really is it right there. How is someone going to identify the race, creed, color, or even clothing, or even if it is a person at that distance? Much less a claim that was made that I don't think I'm going to even go into, that he could hear them from 5 miles away. Might have. But assuming they're cheering instead of screaming, oh my God, what the hell's happening? And assuming other things, I don't think so. Now we're going to go up to this building here. I think it's the Rockefeller Center building or whatever. We're going to go to an observation deck where we can see this round thing, this set of antennas, and we're going to be right over here at night. Okay? But I want to point out again, this would have been his field of view. And I want you to notice that that plane, if he did see it coming in and then it hit that, the thing he might have been thinking at that point is, I'm in, if his ego was, not in check, I'm in the second tallest building in New York, and I'm the next target. I mean, think about it. The 2 tallest buildings in New York just got hit. He's standing in what he thinks is the second or third tallest building in New York. Why wouldn't he assume that he's the next target? There's a freaking space right here to fly through. But then again, maybe there were more buildings in the way. Well, then he wouldn't have been able to see out here. Okay? But think about it from that. I mean, think how scary that would be. Everybody in a tall building was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die. But what are you going to do? You're going to leave? How are you going to leave New York in an emergency? That's literally the nightmare scenario in every horror movie, okay? Okay. Now we're up on top of this building. Now, I'm going to unzoom it a little bit and point out that there's that array of antennas, and there's that round thing. And over here is this little thing here. And we're going to look back this way, and that's the Twin Tower, or not the Twin Tower, that's Donald Trump's tower. Now, I'm depicting us as looking back from there, from one of these rooms on this side. I'm trying to make it as easy to see through the angle as possible so that there would be a pathway to see all the way out there. I'm putting us at the right-hand corner of the building. We may not be. Judging by the angle, we probably aren't. But anyway, we're up here looking back. Okay? Now, observe that building here. Might look familiar to you. So let's put that in the same kind of perspective. I do believe that is the replacement for the World Trade Center. That is the new World Trade Center. So let's put this into perspective as best we can. Okay, and there's our tower building. Can you see, it's approximately the same width at the top end. I'm assuming this is correct. I might have got it wrong. I totally could be wrong. Do you think you could actually see a person jumping out of the building? Do you believe that you could see really anything at this distance? And we're looking at this from the perspective of people with cameras. It's a night image which actually overblows and emphasizes the windows. Unless he had a telescope, which he's never mentioned once apparently, I don't believe he was able to see this. Next, from this perspective, which is even better for seeing in the distance, no, you wouldn't be able to determine if you were looking at people. So let's go back to the image. I don't believe that Donald Trump would have been able to see, quote-unquote, cheering mobs of people. I think he's referring to a news article or news video or viral video on Twitter or whatever that he saw at the time, right before he made that statement. Most of the statements he made are not of his personal experience, but things he saw on the internet. He's just regurgitating internet crap, in my opinion. Was he able to see 4.2 miles to 2 buildings that are 1,362 feet tall and watch them collapse? Yes, I think so. Would he have been able to be able to determine that those were human beings falling? Well, I've zoomed this in heavily, as you can see, from the distance, and more importantly, from this point of view, I don't believe he would have been able to see proper resolution, be able to see people dropping. I don't think he would have been able to tell anything. There was debris falling from the building all the time. Maybe he was simply mistaken. Do I believe that he went to ground zero? Traveling 4.12 miles on that day in that kind of chaos, I don't think he would have done it. And if he did, I think people would have turned him back for his own good, because nobody should do that unless they absolutely had to be there. Next, do I believe he could look almost 5 miles out, 4.9 miles out, to see people identify what race, creed, and color they are and what they were doing? No. So there's that.